What's going on, guys? So we are on our way to Burns Motors in McAllen, Texas. Burns is a Ram truck dealership and they sell a variety of different Ram vehicles, including the new 2019 Ram Classic, which is essentially a carryover body style from 2018 for those people who wanted to save a little bit of money while at the same time getting a nice truck and weren't really needing some of the newer benefits of the new 2019 body style. And the purpose of today's video is to talk about some of the differences between a truck from today versus a truck from 20 years ago. Because a lot of people who watch my channel ask me all the time, can you simply get a base model truck with none of the fancy bells and whistles? I just want a truck to do truck work. And I think some of you may be surprised how affordable some modern brand new trucks can be if you don't care about some of the luxury amenities that so many of them are getting equipped with. So I'll be right back. I think you're going to enjoy this video. So I'm here at Burns Motors in McAllen, Texas, taking a look at some of these trucks. Okay, so what we have in front of us are 4 Ram Classic Edition trucks. These are 2019 models. They all have the 3.6 liter Pentastar. They're 2-wheel drive trucks, but they all have a double cab or an extended cab configuration. 4 doors, even though it's not the longer crew cab. But this is very reminiscent and essentially the progression or the evolution from the 1999 model Ram that was so popular 20 years ago. Now, what are some of the differences between a truck like these versus a truck that you could buy 20 years ago? First of all, understandably, the prices have gone up significantly. So an MSRP on a truck like this is going to be in the mid-30s. You can get them as low as $23,988 if you are willing to finance through Chrysler, or $24,988 if you want to finance on your own or just pay cash for it. Some of the benefits of a modern truck can easily be seen right off the bat. So back in the day, an SLT or a Laramie equipped extended cab, long or short bed Ram 2-wheel drive V8 truck was going to cost between about $19,000 and $24,000 depending on how you had it equipped. At the time, you were lucky to get about $3,000 in discounts if you really negotiated. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on how long the truck sat on the lot. Nowadays, you're seeing upwards of $10,000, $11,000 off of the MSRP to try to move trucks, especially in this competitive market. So seeing a 2019 model 1500 extended cab truck with a relatively powerful V6 for $23,988, which is a significant discount from the $34,380 MSRP pricing, isn't unheard of. Now, right off the bat, some of the things you're going to see from the exterior of these newer trucks is the fact that aluminum wheels is generally going to be standard, whereas typically it was an upgrade option on the older trucks. In some cases, it was standard if you went with the Laramie package or the highest trim, but now you're seeing them even on the lowest trim trucks. You're also seeing features like Bluetooth standard on trucks, and things like steering wheel controls is becoming standard on trucks, and it didn't even exist back then. And if it did, it was only for radio controls. Now, some people might say that it's not fair to compare a V6 to a V8, but it's very fair to compare the two when you're looking at a truck that's 20 years old versus a modern truck. New 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, you're going to see a little over 300 horsepower and about 269, 270 pound-feet of torque. Now, compare that to the V8s back then, which generally had in the low 200 range, about 220, 230 horsepower, and in the low 300 pound-foot torque range, you'll generally see much better performance out of these newer V6 trucks than you ever would get out of a V8 truck, especially the smaller V8 back in the late 90s. Also, on a truck like this, power windows, power door locks, power mirrors, pretty much standard. Those were upgrade options for your higher trim trucks back in the 90s. This specific truck has power windows, door locks, and everything on a base model truck compared to, again, all of those being optional or you needing to get the highest trim truck back then. Safety is also a big area to talk about because these trucks all have between 4 and 5-star safety crash tests for almost all categories, whereas pickup trucks in the past really only had maybe 3 or 4 stars for front impact, but everything else was either blank or so poor they never even posted it. When you talk about the pricing difference between some of these trucks, a fully loaded Laramie, which was the top trim package back in 1999, had less features, less capabilities, and really smaller size in almost all dimensions than a 2019 Tradesman Edition, which is the base model package in 2019. And that's saying a lot. So when you see a $26,988 sales price, which again is about $9,000 off of the actual MSRP, you're actually getting a truck with far more technology, far more capability, far better fuel economy. Let's talk about that. Fuel economy from those older trucks back in the 90s was anywhere between 12 and 17 miles per gallon. Now you're looking at 17 to 25 miles per gallon, which means you're going to go a lot further with a lot less money on these modern trucks. And then finally, reliability. Now, I know a lot of people love their old reliable Ram trucks, especially if they got the older Cummins diesel in them. However, what you need to keep in mind are that these trucks are designed to go about 300,000 miles without really any major problem with an engine transmission component. Back in '99, you were really lucky to get 100,000 miles out of your vehicle before it required some type of major maintenance or major engine work or component failure, such as an alternator, a power steering pump, a water pump, things like that. So to summarize this video and to wrap it up, you really get a lot of truck now. You're going to pay more. That's primarily due to inflation and just the fact that even base model trucks have to have a certain number of emissions related upgrades as well as interior upgrades, safety upgrades, things like Bluetooth audio and all of that stuff that makes things a little safer if you're going to be using your media equipment while driving. But more importantly than ever, just keep in mind that you can still get affordable trucks if you're not looking for the top trim package. If you don't care about leather, if you don't care about all sorts of fancy navigations, if you don't care about things like cameras all over your trucks or LED or HID headlights, if you're simply looking for a lower trim truck because you want to get from point A to point B and you want to have the utility of a pickup truck, you really have the option to get affordably priced trucks in today's economy. And when you look at inflation, some of these trucks haven't inflated as much as you might think. To be able to get some of these trucks for under $30,000, fairly well equipped with the power and performance that exceeds what you could get 20 years ago, even in the top trim packages, is pretty impressive. And I really do think that you can find value-oriented trucks if you look, you negotiate, and more importantly, you're willing to sacrifice some things. And even the V6 trucks that today are rated to tow just as much as the older V8 trucks from 20 years ago, which is generally going to be between about 4,500 and 8,000 pounds. And when you factor in all of the things that I've talked about in this segment, and you even apply it to the 3/4 ton and 1 ton segment, if you're willing to sacrifice things like the diesel engine, or if you're willing to sacrifice some of the luxury amenities and go for more of a base truck package, you can easily find 3/4 ton or 1 ton trucks well under $40,000 in the $35,000 price category. If you're willing to go a year or two older with low miles, you can even get in the high 20s. It really just depends on how hard you search. If you only base your search on the premium trim trucks that a lot of the reviewers receive to do reviews on, then you're going to find that you're going to be really disappointed, because most of the trucks that we do reviews on tend to be your higher trim packages with all of the tech features, all of the convenience features, and everything that can drive the price up to the $80,000+ range. And yes, at that price point, it's hard to say, you know what, I just want a base model truck, or I just want a truck to do work in. That's the truck I'm looking for. Most of the time, if you are willing to go with a truck that is lacking 90% of those features, you're looking at about a $40,000 to $50,000 to even $60,000 difference in price between a base model truck and a top trim truck. So those are all things to keep in mind, and that's across the board with any of the brands, regardless if it's a half ton, a 3/4 ton, a 1 ton, or bigger. Keep in mind, features and amenities and luxury items drive the prices up tremendously. The more of those you admit, the more you're going to save. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.